Yes, I can hear you. Mhm.
Ah, okay, good. Yeah, it was okay. So far, it's so good.
Good, good, good to hear that.
Hope to continue.
That's correct. Mhm. All right. So we got to kickstart our project today. Today we have such a practical topic that we are all very familiar with, and we're gonna just discuss that and get some basis of how these courts that we see in various countries work, and then how um, similar are they as well to what we have in the United States. I believe each and everyone is aware of the kind of courts they do have in their own countries, and how those courts are set up or how they function. Okay. When you have an issue with somebody, what courts do you go? Especially if it is a civil case, what court do you take that case? If it turns out to be a criminal issue, what courts do you also take that case? Do you just take any case to any criminal court? Do you also take any case that you like to bring before the law courts into any civil court? Is that how it happens? Is that how it runs in your countries? Or how does it apply in your country? So today, that's what we're going to be looking at. That is our system of laws, and we're going to specifically concentrate on United States. As I said earlier on, it parallels with almost um, every court in the corner or in the global world. It has similar practices, and you get to know that it is very similar to what you have in your country, and just something new that you're going to be learning and be able to apply as well. So without wasting time, let me put up this slide to you quickly. Then we'll be able to go through that. Before that, any question? Does anybody have a question? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no, right? Good. So that is our system of laws, our system of law. Good. So I hope and I believe each and everyone went through the material which was sent. I sent you um, lecture notes that have enough information that you still have to get to the test. Although that summary is good, I always want you to get into the textbook for details so that you don't miss anything. Good. So in this class or in this section, I'm expecting everyone to be able to at least discuss the application of laws in today's world in relation to wherever you are. You should be able to discuss the applications of law. Like I said earlier on, if you have a case, if you have an issue with somebody, there's something bothering you, your business is having challenges, how does that kind of issue how does it generate? How do you work with it? Do you get a lawyer? Do you get an attorney? How do you at least face that issue when it comes to the law courts? You should be able to at least discuss that kind of law application in any part of the world. Um, we should be able to also provide examples of how application of law affects one, the individual, our own selves, that is one's personal or social life, we should be able to discuss how it affects us. Okay. Also, we should be able to discuss how it affects our business, business or business operations. We should know how the application of laws affect us. And on the other side, being the government, when the laws are being made, how does it affect the government? Or how does the laws in the country or in a specific country affects the governing body of a country? Okay, or how do the governing body use the laws that has been created? What is the effect? Okay, again, we should be able to explain reasons for preparation of the Uniform Commercial Code. What is that? What is that Uniform Commercial Code? What is it for? We should be able to understand what it is and the preparation of it. Okay, we should be able to cite and describe the major classifications of laws that we do have. We should be able to cite them. Is it an administrative law? Is it what is it? Is it an is it a common law? Is it a precedent? Is it a statute? We should be able to, at least by the end of the day, cite and describe the major classifications of law. We should also be able to distinguish the moral law, from the legal obligations. We should be able to do that, be able to distinguish between the moral law from and the legal obligations. We should also be able to describe the structure of our federal and then the state court systems that we do have in the United States, which will also, in one way or the other, apply to almost every country that you find yourself. Being a democratic country, you should be able to see the same application being run over there. Good. So now, why do we even have laws? Why? Somebody will ask, why are laws being created? Laws are being created for a specific reason. Wherever there are no laws, it means there is the possibility of what? Chaotic scenes. Okay? It means people will tend to do what they want. All right. If I'm so strong, okay, and you are very weak, I will tend to do what? Pounce on you. Just like what? An animalia kingdom. All right. The strongest will always be the what? The champion. Okay. So laws are created or laws are made to be able to do what? Just be able to see how to run the organization or see how to deal with people, make sure that the society is run in a way that it will be free of chaos and all sort of manner of things. So when laws comes in, it helps to do what? It helps to maneuver or it helps to deal with the situation people go through, or it helps to at least reduce the pressure on how things are being done in a society, in a country, or in an organization. So justice and law are the hallmark of what? A free society in today's world. If there are no laws, there will always be problems. If there are no laws, there will always be problems. Assuming you've been to say the jungle where there are animals, even take two different breeds of dogs. What happens when two different breeds of dogs comes together? You see, they will be doing barking at each other. This is what we are trying to say. So this breed might not like the other breed, or the other breed might feel like maybe you look different. So the dog will try to do what? Come after you. And this will always happen in every setting where human beings are if there are no laws. Those who are power, those who have power will always try to do what? Run over those who do not have power. That's right. So as a result, when there are laws, it helps to do what? Reduce that kind of friction. It helps to reduce that kind of pressure, and it creates some sort of um, a simple or a free and fair organization or community or a country for each and everyone. In that case, what you do not have to do according to the law, you will not do it. And what you have to do by law is what you have to do. So if you go contrary to the law, I or you will have the right to do what? Bring the case to the law court for what? A redress. That is why we need to have laws. This is why we need to have laws in our countries, in our organizations, in our job place. Sometimes you go to certain homes, parents will try to have laws, which it will do what? It goes a long way to help the children to do what? To grow. You go to certain schools, yes, they have what? Laws. They will tell you these are school rules. Yes, that's how they call it, school rules. This is our home rules. When you finish eating, you have to make sure that you clean the dining table, or you have to ensure that you clean the bowl that you eat from. You create that rules to do what? To guide your children, to guide the family. When you wake up from your bed, what do? You have to make sure that you relay the bed. You understand? This is why laws are created, to be able to guide people so that all the time there will be that kind of peace in wherever we find ourselves. If there are no laws created, or there are no laws, people will do whatever they want to do. On that note, somebody who will take a law, who will take a case or will sue somebody at the law court, we tend to call that person the plaintiff. So you bring the law, you bring the case against somebody, and the person you bring the case against him, we tend to call that person a defendant. Any question? Good. So applications of law. Like I said earlier on, it affects your own individual, it affects your business and the government. Okay. Citing as an example of personal application of laws, what affects you out there as an individual? Do you think that if you are driving on the street and you go through the red light, okay, and by so doing you hit another car, do you think you can just drive off? Can you just drive off and then ignore that thing that happened? Okay. Do you think you can just walk into any supermarket, grab whatever you want, and then leave without paying? There are laws that's what guide each and everything that we do in this world that we find ourselves. So as a person, you have some sort of rights, okay, and responsibilities, and these laws will guide that. Okay. Once you cannot drive through the red light, it means when there is any sort of issue or when you crash into somebody, you're going to be held responsible. That's why somebody can bring that case against you at the law court. Okay. So traffic laws are very important, because if they don't do that, somebody from the left or at a junction, okay, whether being a plus junction or it's a T junction, when you get there, you have to be able to stop. So when you get to a plus junction or a T junction, sometimes you might see a sign there, all others, or all stops. It means regardless of wherever you are coming from, you have to stop. But whoever gets there first will have to leave first. So if you are two cars, if I get in and I got there first, I will be the first person to leave. So I will stop. Then you stop. Then I will leave. Then you leave. This is why laws are created, just to be able to do what? To guide us, to be able to find a very amicable way of living. We need laws. Okay. If you are a business owner, I said the other time, do you think you can just send anything out there? Okay. You have produced certain kind of products. Do you think you can just do any sort of production substandard or without caring about the consumers and then send it out there for sales? No. The law will catch up with you. The law will deal with you. Okay. This is what we term as business laws as well, how business law applies. Okay. You cannot just have your way, but by going according to the laws of the country. So if you are in production, you have to go according to production standards. Okay, you have to go according to production standards. Somewhere, if you are in, say, for example, in restaurants, you have to go according to the production, the company. Sorry, the restaurant organization standards, probably. Okay, maybe if you want to serve a food, it has to go with certain kind of things. It has to go with certain kind of process. The kind of table you have to use, or the kind of environment your customers will have to sit, has to be within a specific standard. Okay, you cannot just do what you want. Okay, the law will catch up with you. So we have business laws and its application, how it applies to business. Okay, again, when we talk about the government application of laws, yes, the government have a responsibility as well. Okay, and again, they have a responsibility to us being the citizen, and again, to its government as well. All right, you have to ensure that, hey, the community gets what? A good drinking water. Okay, the school have to be under a proper resources, and proper resources, if I say, includes teachers, includes books, whatever they need to be able to do what? To study. Okay, they have to get good buildings, or they have to be studying out of a building that is well built with all these kind of modern features that will allow them to do what? To study. Okay, so that is the government. As a result, he will do what? Collect taxes from you and I, and they will channel that towards that. Okay, so if you want a government and you collect taxes and you share, or you loot and share, you end up doing what? Putting the citizens at a disadvantage, because at the end of the day, we are expecting the government to use what? To apply the law that brought them into power, by saying that you are coming to save us. As a result, we pay taxes, you use it to do what? To save us. So when your roads are not good, it's the government's responsibility to do what? To ensure that those roads are fixed. That is why we pay taxes. So in the United States, you get to somewhere, or you get to some places where they have constructed new roads or constructed new buildings or whatever it is, and you see it somewhere that your taxes at work. Does it apply everywhere? Yes. When you get opportunity to become a government top notch, these are some of the things you have to bear in mind. You study business law for all these kind of information and all these kind of resources. Good. Any question? Okay, good. Now, let's delve through into the sources of laws. Where do our laws come from? How do all these laws that we find ourselves being used as a country, as a people, as an organization, as a business, where do we get all these laws? It must be coming from somewhere. It just not just show up all of a sudden in the moon. No, this is how we get those laws. So the law of the body of law affecting persons in our country is derived from somewhere, and that is what we do have. We have the constitutional law, we have the executive orders, we have the treaty, we have the common law, we have the precedent. Okay, and then we have the case law, we have the statutory law, and then administrative law. Okay, case law, precedent, treaty, case law, precedent, and then common law tends to be somehow the same thing. Somebody will classify them as the same thing because at the end of the day, it is being enacted through the same process. So common law, precedent, and then case law, unlike constitutional, executive, which come from the powers of the president and all those constitutional, and then the treaties, which is some sort of agreement between two or three or multiple countries that has become an international. We do have the statutory and the administrative as well. So let's see what it tells us right here. So the constitutional law, what are they? Okay, principles and ideas protecting individual liberty, okay, and freedoms are incorporated in the constitutional or the Constitution of the United States. That is the federal constitution. So also each state has its own constitution establishing what? Certain powers to its various levels of what? Government, and provides what? They provide safeguards for the rights of individuals within the state. Okay, so this is how it comes about. That is through what? The Constitution. All right. So the principles and ideas protecting individual liberty and freedoms are incorporated in the Constitution of the United States, and the same will apply to your country. So once you have a constitution, you'll be able to do what? Refer into that constitution and see how it applies to you. See how it applies to when somebody steals your goods, when somebody comes to your shop to buy. By the time you realize the person took pick up the item and then left, what is it? Is it a shoplifting? How is it punishable at the law court? How do you bring cases to the law court in respect to issues of such? So this is constitutional law. Constitutional law. Executive orders. Okay, you and I might know that if we are in power, yes, my pen, I can write. Okay, sign, and then it becomes very, very powerful something. Okay, so executive order is a legally binding precedent directive to agencies of the federal government to implement policy and what? Improve government operations. Okay, no matter what it is, this is the right or this is the powers that a president can have to do what? To change so many things. Okay, so that is executive law. Okay, executive's order. Executive order. It alters the manner in which federal agencies and officials operate. Okay, no matter what it is, if a president signs that into signs that kind of order, we being the citizens or working for that president will have to do what? Abide by it. And these are some of the laws. These are some of the laws and how they are derived. This is how we get them. They don't just come out of the moon, but it will have to come through certain things. And these are some of the executive law is one of them. Like I said, treaty. What is a treaty? All right. A treaty is a written agreement, between or among more countries that establishes the terms of an international relationship. Okay. So if myself, Awad, and then Olia decide to go into an agreement, does it represent the intentions or the rights of our individual countries? No. We are talking about a treaty. When we are talking about a treaty, it's not agreement between one or two individuals for their own self, coming forward to do what? Sign these kind of things for their own individual gains. We are talking about representing a country, being in the position to do that. Okay, so when 2 or 3 people from a different country meet somewhere and they decide to do that without the, the authority of the country, which is maybe through the parliament or through the senate or whatever, without approving it, yes, it's going to be a problem. So the second point, we say treaties become legally binding to the US when approved by 2/3 of the Senate. So this is how United States will even accept it. Okay, when it's being signed, when it's being approved by 2/3 of the Senate. Okay, so these are what we term as treaties. Common law, common law. Okay, these are after the Revolutionary War. The United States adopted the English system of laws used for what? Centuries, known as the common law. You know, as you might know, this is having some sort of relationship with Britain. Okay, but after the Revolutionary War, the United States adopted that system. Okay, and then that is the common law, and they still use that. Okay, still influences the legal decisions today. They still use that. So that is the common law. What does it really represent? It incorporates the practice of stare decisions, okay, to stand on decided cases, okay, when you are doing what? Relying on previous legal decisions of a similar dispute. So you tend to ask yourself, then why is this different from precedent? Why is this also different from common law? Okay, and that is what I said to you. At a point, somebody would tend to just basket them together because it is going to be normally somebody will say common law is a case law. Okay, common law is a case law, or it's a judge-made law. Somebody will say that. So at the end of the day, it comes hand in hand with what? A precedent, because it's going to go through that kind of battle that somebody will be able to, at the end of the day, refer to that and say, hey, I'm citing the case between 1 and 2, which happened over here or over there, to buttress my case. Then this becomes also what? A precedent. So it has some sort of direct relationship with that. That is common law, and then precedent. So a precedent is a court decision on which later courts rely in similar cases. Okay, whether a court follows or overrules a precedent depends on what? The court that ruled on the case. Okay, whether or not the previous court's case was decided by a state's highest court. Okay, so the higher courts review based on substantial changes in society and circumstances. So at the end of the day, this kind of laws, or we get this kind of laws, or we tend to have this kind of laws when 1 or 2 problems or issue have arise and people have been to court, and there might have been what? A pronouncement of a judgment pronouncement on it. And at the end of the day, similar thing is happening, and somebody wants to do what? Link it with that kind of case. So your lawyer or your attorney will end up doing what? Taking that case to do what? To buttress whatever he's saying in court. This becomes a precedent. I hope we understand what is going on here. Good. So this is what I said earlier on. Like a common law is just like a case law. Okay. So what is a case law also representing? A case law, at times, a statute or a common law precedent is difficult to do what? Apply to certain cases. Okay. In such cases, a court may disagree earlier interpretation of a statute, principles of common law, or interpret them differently. Okay, when this happens, a court's decision in such case becomes what? New what? Precedent, influencing future like cases. Okay, so there might be a case that we are relying on, or we are referring to, in order to do what? To buttress our case. But at a point, there might be some sort of difficulty in understanding. You know, time changes. We are in a technology world. You might have to go back and then deal with a case in 1844, which by then there was no technology influencing whatever the person was doing. A judge or a jury or whatever it is might have the right to do what? Review and bring up a different decision, which might be different. Okay, yes, from what happened years ago, okay, that you are using to buttress your case. I hope somebody gets what we are saying here. Good. So, statutory law, all right? This field of law that deals with what? Statutes, laws passed by Congress or state agencies. I don't know how you might call it over there. Yes, but this is the kind of laws, okay? They are being passed by Congress or state legislatures, okay? Congress or state legislatures. Statute provides what? Specific direction of powers and rights in federal and state constitutions, okay? That's what? They allow government to address particular public policy issues, okay? And in that capacity, we do have ordinance, okay? A law passed by a local government, okay, such as what? A city or a county council. You might have that also in your country, okay? So it's like a hierarchy, okay? At the end of the day, it will get to that level for you to also do what? Use your power. Use your power to do something. So at the end of the day, this is how statutory law are also made. Administrative law. Administrative law. By its name, what comes into your head? Administrative law. Okay, so administrative agencies, how do they come about? They are created by what? Federal or state government or legislature to do what? To develop and enforce rules based on law. So these administrative agencies, okay, turn up to do what? Have that kind of power. So administrative law is the body of rules, regulations, and decision created by what? The agencies under this particular statutes. Okay, so when these laws come from them, we tend to give them the same name as what? Administrative law. Okay, so administrative agencies reduce the need for police and courts to do what? Establish and enforce regulations on highly technical and specialized matters. It cannot be every decision that it can just go in there and then have its power to do what? Decide on. Any question? Any question? Any question at this time? Okay, good. So now, Uniform Commercial Code. Uniform Commercial Code. What is this all about? This is where, when we are businessmen, we tend to look at it well. Okay, Uniform Commercial Code was established in 1952 by the National Conference of what? Commissioners on Uniform State Laws. Okay, it exists to do what? Promote effective commerce across the state. Okay, so if you are in business, you should be very concerned when we're talking about the commercial code, which is the uniform. It is a set of laws governing the commercial transactions designed by what? Designed to bring uniformity to the state laws. Okay, there is always some sort of laws that is going to guide a business, guide you as a businessman or to guide a business, how you operate and what you can do and what you cannot do. And it has to be what? Uniform. Therefore, you get what? Uniform commercial code. Okay. So why should it be uniform? It should be uniform so that we tend to understand how to use or how to apply it. I cannot come out with my own regulations in selling iPhone. Okay. At the end of the day, you yourself being the seller, you might have your own store rules, but don't forget the overall umbrella that you work under have some sort of rules. So in the past, you go to certain shops and they tend to have their own rules, which is against the commercial code. Okay, so when they do whatever they want and you think it's against the law, you take them to court, you win. I bought a phone. Okay, this phone that I bought, I decided to buy the phone. At the end of the day, I felt like, no, I don't need the phone. I'll bring the phone back. The same right that I have to purchase the phone, I have the same right to bring it back. So far as it's within that commercial code, it's within that operational code that I have to be able to do what? Send the phone back within 15 days in the original package. Or you will do what? Have a 20% packaging fee on me. I still have to bring that package back, or have the right to bring that package back. If we do not do that, people will do what? Tend to do whatever they want. Yes, there are some sort of cruel business owners wherever you go, and they are there. So you get there and they will write something on the wall just to tell you that, oh, if you buy a phone from this store, you don't have to bring it. Is the phone a new phone? Are you dealing with used items? Are you dealing with new items? What is the capacity in which you are operating? Okay. Are you under an incorporation? You have to ensure that you go according to the law. You cannot just think that you sit at your store and then just create some sort of law for you, and you think every customer is going to accept it. A dissatisfied customer who knows the law and is ready to challenge you at the court will win. So you have to make sure that you always do what? Play fair and be within the laws of the countries. Any question? Good. Now, classifications of laws. How do we classify the laws that we have? Classification of laws. Okay. Constitutional law. Constitutional law. That is the study of what? The U.S. Constitution. Okay. It's study of the U.S. Constitution. Its interpretation by the federal courts and its relationship to what? The existing law. Okay. Civil law. Okay. Civil law is the study what? Study of rights and obligations of individuals. Includes the law of property, the law of what? Contracts, and the law of torts. So in here, we are there. The business is there. And everybody who wants to be around business will also be there. Or as a citizen, you will be there. And the constitutional law, yes, you and I are there as well as citizens. Okay, good. So if you are not fairly treated, okay, you can bring a case against whoever that person is, and somebody can do same to you. Somebody can do same to you. So it's the rights and obligations of individuals, which includes the law of property, the law of contracts, and the law of torts. Commercial law, the criminal law. This is a law that we are almost everybody is very familiar with, the criminal law and the civil law. We are very familiar with that. Okay, so in the past, the civil law, we know what it is. You and your neighbor are there, and you have some sort of misunderstanding about the boundaries of your land, or for some reason you guys can get to understand that. All right. This one is saying this part is for me, this part is saying this part is for me. When this issue arises, what do? You take it to a civil court. You take it to a civil court. Me and Awad are very close, good friends, and one of these days, he borrowed me some money that I was in very tight corner. You know, at the end of the day, after taking the money, I became so big that I don't even have to say hi. When I see Awad, I have to maybe turn the other way.
I want my money, please. I need
there
my
we
money
go.
now.
Exactly. I want it, and I want it now. You know?
Yeah, and you still owe me almost 50 cents from last semester.
Oh, that's 50 cents. You know what? I'm not sure if you really remember what we are about to talk. We are about to talk on what we call it. Is it a promise, or is it actually an agreement, or is a contract? Can you show the proof?
Well, I have witness. I have 9
Oh,
witnesses.
you have a witness. I know you're gonna choose Noran, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, maybe you might have to go to the international court to bring that case against me, because the face you see on there is not the same face. You know, I might come disguised. So I owe you 50 cents. Accepted. I'll post it to you. Oh, you want me to
Okay.
issue a check?
Blank check, please.
Oh,
I will put the number. Don't worry.
yeah, I like that one. That's a very interesting one. So blank checks will always what in business. That this is just by the way, in business, whenever there is blank checks being issued, as an auditor, you have to be very careful. I was auditing an organization, and most of the checks are being issued blank, but it's being issued to the members to do certain jobs for the organization. What does this tell you? The organization leaders are doing what? Just chopping the money left and right. Because you employed a contractor to do something, issue the check direct to the contractor. Just by that is just by the way. So I cannot even issue a check in open. I want to issue you to the person that I'm talking to. So when it gets there, Mr. Awad, you get your check. So
I will wait for that.
thank you. So that was just by the way. So at the end of the day, after taking the person's money, he also have the right to get it back. For God's sake, he helped you when you were in trouble. Just have that kind of, we call it principles of life. When you were in need, the person supported you. Now that you got the money, you've used it for whatever it is. When the person calls you, you just turn off your phone. When you see the person in town and you see him coming or approaching, you take the other course. This is what happens. The person will also do what? Would like to get the money. What happens? You sue the person at the law court. So this becomes a civil case. So you get to the law, you get to before the judge, and then the judge will decide. You say your case, and I'll say mine. At the end of the day, I will be the plaintiff, and then you will be what? The defendant. This is what the law is talking about. Okay, so you take the person to the civil court in matters like that. Okay, in matters like property issues, you take the person to court, to the civil court. Don't forget, there are some cases that might seem to be what? Civil cases, but it can be what? Criminal case. When we say the law of contracts, okay, law of contracts sometimes can become a criminal case. You and I have a deal. We have a contract. that we are supplying each and everyone something and we selling whatever it is. At a point, this same contract can be a criminal issue, because one person can try to be so smart by using the internet and the computing systems we have today to clone the contract, change certain things in there, and then have your signature on there. Issues of such can come up, and you will say that, no, I did not say this in the contract. This is not what the original contract is saying. I did not sign to this. Maybe the person thinks you don't have your copy of the contract. At the end of the day, you do what? You'll be able to prove to that person that, hey, this is not the type of contract we signed. This is not the contract we signed. As a result, you have edited the contract. This becomes what? Now it has moved from what? A civil case to a criminal case. You are doing what? You are trying to change somebody's signature on a contract. Okay? Or you have changed the content of the contract. So certain things that are civil can turn up to be what? Criminal. It's not only where somebody will rape somebody, or where somebody will murder somebody, or somebody will poison somebody alone that we've seen as what? Criminal cases. Okay? Don't forget, you might be driving your car, cruising in there, but at the end of the day, when you hit somebody, that case that they will bring against you could come from the family, and at the same time from what? The state government. So the state government can sue you for what? Criminal charges. And the individual can also sue you for what? Civil charges. So some of these things comes up like that, and you have to know how to differentiate from being civil or criminal. So I hope when we start to at least test our knowledge, things like this, you'll be able to point out and tell me that, yes, this is a civil case. Yes, this is a commercial case. And I believe it shouldn't be a difficult task. So criminal law concerns with what? Acts against society. Okay? It's an act against society. Criminal acts and the regulations of what? Criminal activities. Okay? So at the end of the day, you tend to do something against the society that everyone is enjoying, and you face the law. You face the full rigors of the law. Okay? Assuming we have street lights. Okay? We have street lights on our block, but you intend to do what? Take all the street lights from the block and go and put it in your house. Okay, something that belongs to me, Nora, Olia, Awad, everybody on this platform. You decided to do what? Take it and then go and put it in your house. Is this fair? It cannot be fair. So this is affecting the society, is affecting the entire community. At the end of the day, you have to pay for it by doing what? Facing the full rigors of the law. Okay, so this is a criminal issue. Again, don't forget, those of us who are in public office, as for United States, every year you have to do that kind of, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do this. You have to go what? You have to go through that kind of ethics test every year. You have to do that. You have to certify your ethical background if you are with a public institution. You know, some of us somewhere in other countries, in other places, even in the United States, let me not try to downplay that. In public office, we'll try to do what? Use what belongs to the public for himself. If you are being caught doing that, you have to pay for it. And that becomes what? They will bring the law against, they will bring the case against you from the state. Okay? And that could be what? A criminal case. Assuming you are the director, okay? You are the director of your agency. They provide you gas, and they provide you with gas, a brand new car or a car. At the end of the day, you have some sort of rights and responsibilities for the car that has been provided to you. You have the right to use the car for certain things. and you have the right not, and you will also have the responsibility not to use the car for certain things. If we tend to find out that the car that we have provided you, you are using the car to farm, you are using the car, the public car, public gas, the public taxes, our taxes that has been paid to use it for a specific in community discourse, you have decided to do what? Use it to farm. You have decided to use it to cut produce from your farm to the market. This is not right. This is not what the car was given to you for. That's not the purpose. That was not the reason. You will have to pay for it. Again, when we make a U-turn and come to the other side, you were putting at that office. They employ you at that office to ensure that you have to charge people certain money, and that money goes to the government. Okay? So at the end of the day, the money that you take from the government will go to what? The Federal Reserves, which is what? Our revenue. So assuming you are the IRS, assuming you are with the revenue, any of the revenue department, or any of the government agencies that takes money, okay, for the government, what do? That money that you take goes to the government. If you end up taking the money and putting it in your pocket, you have to answer for it. Okay, so at the end of the day, we are going through this just to do what? Tune your mind, change the way you think, your perception, and your preparedness to be able to what? Man certain positions. Okay, at the end of the day, somebody will be able to tell you that, hey, this is the state's resources and it has to be used properly. I remember I worked for a couple of state agencies, and one of the agency, the very first day I was employed and I went to the office, they assigned me with the responsibility of making sure that the supplies that agency gets, I have to account for it. I don't know what my boss saw in me, but this is what it was a she. This is what she did. He said, Samuel, you are in charge of all the supplies you receive, and then you disperse it, and then at the end of the day, you account for it. Guess what? Those old employees were stealing the supplies. Although they are pens, they are papers, they were printing papers, staple pins, staplers, a whole lot of markers and all those kind of stuff. They were stealing it home. So this course, or this business law, is trying to tell you and I that everything that belongs to an organization, an agency, it's not for you. It's for you to use it for agency what? Work. When they buy me a pen at the office, I don't take the pen home. And then at the end of the day, the company will have to spend another money to buy you another pen. That is why we have ethics at the back of the business law. Okay, so this is what we are talking about. All these things, when you are being found culpable, you can be put in jail for, or you'll be asked to pay some sort of fine to your misconduct. All right. So that was criminal law. So anything that belongs to, or that is meant to be used for all the society, the organization, the community, and the country, you try to squander that, you are in trouble. Again, the administrative law, it concerns with the conduct of what? The governmental administrative agencies and their regulations. We have spoken about this. And again, it is you and I manning this same top-notch position that will sit down and try to bring out all these kind of laws. And many a times, those on top will help bring this kind of fine laws, and they will be doing otherwise. So administrative laws concerned with conduct of governmental administrative agencies and their regulations. The international law, okay, concerned with what? Conduct of nations in their relationships, in their relations with other nations. So we spoke about what? We spoke about treaty, okay? So this is also what we term as the international law. Anybody have a question? Good. Now, let's move into such a nice area that I'll be expecting people to tell me what it is. The law that concerns moral law. Moral law. I'm not sure what your understanding about moral law is, apart from what you see on the screen. Can somebody tell me something about moral law? Why moral? Why is it so? Moral law. Anybody?
So concerning with ethics.
Say that again.
So concerning with ethics.
Ethics. Okay. Okay. Good. So you say something concerned with ethics. Somebody can say something much to that. Somebody can say something more to that. Okay. So per the definition we have, the law concerned with the unenforceable ethical obligation people have to, okay, with one another. Okay. At the end of the day, me and Awad, okay, we went into an agreement, okay, to do what? At the end of the day, give Awad $20, then Awad will provide me with some books. When it was time for Awad to provide the books, he provided books that I did not request for. Okay. In ethical aspect of the law, how does it feel? I'm coming to buy a laptop from you. You sell laptops. You have a big banner. You have a big advertising in every part of the television, every part of our newspapers in the country, that you sell brand new computers. I walk in, I saw a very nice laptop, and I decided to buy that laptop. But after buying the laptop, I realized that you sold me a refurbished laptop. What does this mean? Is it right for you to take my money and then just somebody will say 419? I'm not sure if you are aware of that. Okay. So at the end of the day, you take the money for the new product, but you send me something different. So the moral aspect of it, okay, tend to do what? To be the very important factor in this aspect of law. Okay. It has to be very, very important in this aspect of law. So the legal, the moral aspect of it, although somebody might not see that as maybe something that is very important, it is your conscience, how you think. Okay, is it right for you to do that? Is it right that at the end of the day, I gave you $10 to buy maybe something from you, and I'm expecting a change? Sorry, I gave you yes, $10 trying to buy something from you, and I'm expecting a change of $7. And in trying to exchange the money for you, give you the change, I ended up giving you $27, and then you accepted it. What is the moral ethics here? I'm not sure if somebody is following me. At the end of the day, I gave you $27 instead of giving you $7. And you being the customer also did not say anything. Okay, so many legal obligations are based on moral obligations. Okay, but not all moral obligations are legally enforceable. Is somebody getting that? When moral obligations are not legally enforceable, a person's conscience is the only means of what? Implementation. Okay, so this is very important in our everyday activities with our friends, with our organizations, with our family, whatever you do. The moral law is very important, although it does not necessarily have to be brought to the law court. For example, like I was telling, me and Awad were trying to have little joke about that 50 cents. I said, Awad, if you're able to get 20% in this class, I'll give you 20 cents or 50 cents. Guess what? Awad was able to get 20%. My part of the agreement was not on it. The moral aspect of it. That's what we are trying to say. The moral aspect of it. In as much as it might not be legal or it might not be enforceable at the law court that he's going to follow me for the 50 cents, how ethical is it? Especially when you are dealing with kids, when you are dealing with your children. If you go to school and you're able to score 100% in the exams, I'll buy you a bicycle. The child does that. You did not buy the bicycle. What kind of precedent are you setting? Is somebody with me? So when this goes on for a very long time, do you think the child will have some sort of mistrust? Although the child cannot do what? Take this, he cannot take you to court for promising and fail, right? All right. But at the end of the day, what is the moral background of what we are talking about? Okay. What is the moral background? It's just like a wife and then a husband. Oh, if you're able to prepare me that food next week, I'm going to make sure I'll get you a Mercedes Benz. You get the food, you ate the food, but the Mercedes Benz never came in. The moral aspect of the law. The moral aspect. Okay. I said something earlier on, the principles of life is very important in what we do. So although somebody might not be able to bring that action, might not be able to bring an action against you at the law court, but the moral judgment. Good. So let's see what we have here. Examples of moral law. A person who sees someone drowning, what do you have to do? Okay, a person sees someone drowning and he decides to keep quiet, did not say anything. You have an obligation to attempt to do what? To rescue the person. That is the moral aspect of it. Although, if the person gets drowned, okay, and you end up being what? Being you end up being what? Being sent to court. That, hey, Noran, when Olia was getting drawn, you were there. You overlooked it. Probably the cameras saw that. And all that you could do was to just maybe scream a little bit. What happens? Can somebody tell me, will Olia, will Noran be put to jail for this particular example? Olia is drowning, okay? And I just yelled and nobody came and she got drowned and died. The camera saw that. And at the end of the day, I'm being pursued at law court. Who is the judge here? Who is the judge? Anybody? I'm going to appoint a judge
Can you ask
here.
again,
What?
please?
Say that again.
Can you ask the question again, please, Professor?
Repeat the question. Okay.
Yes.
Olia, this question is between Olia and Noran, so they should be prepared to answer. Okay, Noran.
Okay, I'll be out, but I need to hear.
Oh God, you are right there, so you're gonna answer as well. I'm just saying that. You know, Noran saw Olia drowning. Okay, and Noran, all she could do was just to yell. Nobody heard Noran. Olia got drowned and died. But in reviewing the cameras, okay, in reviewing the cameras, thank you. In reviewing the cameras, did anybody see what Olia said? Okay, so in reviewing the cameras, we came to find out that Noran was right there. She yelled, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Olia got drowned and died. And then the family of Olia brought a law case against Noran at the law court, including the state, for criminal charges. Would this case stand the test? Or who is the judge? What is your decision here? Or if you are Noran, how would you be able to come out of this case? The fact that Olia got drowned and died, so she cannot answer. By the way, you can answer. You are still alive. You are not dead. You are in this class. Once you are typing. Yes, anybody? This is a practical question I want to test your knowledge on. Did you get it now, Awad?
Yes, Professor.
You got it. Okay, good. So let me try to bring this in quickly so that we don't waste time. So yes, Noran has what? That kind of moral obligation, but there is no legal obligation to act. Why? Okay, I see Noran answer that. Very good. No legal obligation, so most probably the problem will not reach the judge, but I have a moral. Very good. Thank you to rescue Olia. That is exactly true. But guess what? You will find a very stubborn lawyer, probably like Awad, if he's a lawyer, and tells you that, no, you saw the person dying. And I put it to you that you looked on and you probably even pushed the person into the water. How do you come out? Guess what? The reason why we tend to say that it is a moral obligation is, do you know that me myself, I'm afraid of water? Me myself, I'm afraid of water. So if you tell me that it's my responsibility to rescue Olia, you are not being fair to me, my judge. So judge, what you are telling me cannot hold because I'm afraid of water. A simple response to that. When you go to court, you get to understand what we talk about, sense. Now the judge is going to think about it again. And oh yes, what Nora's lawyer is saying, or what Nora is saying herself, makes sense because Nora herself is afraid of water. So what if I jump into it in the process of rescuing her and I got drowned myself? So many a times, those moral obligations that we do have, when we tend to act, as a matter of fact, go further with it, we have to be extra careful. This is just an advice. It's good to be able to help your community or at least look out for each other, but you have to be very careful. I'm not sure if anybody have heard in the news or in the United States, somewhere in other countries, you cannot just take a knife and try to start stopping somebody left and right, and about 20 people will be there. No, it's not going to happen in some other part of the country. But in the United States, somebody pull a knife, started chopping the person like that. Okay? Everybody will look on. Everybody's afraid. All they will do is do what? They will call 911. That's their version of what? Moral obligation. I hope somebody is really understanding what I'm saying. Probably all the 20 people, this is funny, right? Probably all the 20 people are afraid of knife. They are afraid they will also get stopped. So they have no legal obligation to act by saving the person who is being stopped, by also doing it, by only calling the emergency or the police for that person's rescue. So this is the aspect I want us to get it. Okay. So at the end of the day, like I always say, everybody can bring a case at the law court, but who wins? The person with good documentation and good what? Framework, good preparation to be able to do what? Buttress his or her case. A person who hears somebody or someone screaming for help in the night has a moral duty to call the police. Yes, you do have a moral duty to call the police. But not only calling the police, which in other parts of the world, somebody will try to get to know what is going on. But in the United States, you shut up and be in your home, you call the cops, right? So you have a moral duty. You have a moral obligation to do what? To call the police to rescue the person. Somebody have a question? Good. So systems of courts. This one, we all know what it is. Systems of court. So I'm going to be able to give a couple of people the opportunity to answer questions here. Systems of court. Okay. Courts are society's means of what? Administrating law to protect due process rights of individuals, businesses, and curtail what? Activities of wrongdoers. That is why we have the law courts. So courts and administrative agencies have been established to administer law. Okay. We have the federal and state constitution established a court system to ensure citizens' rights, enforce federal and state statutes. Okay. Courts are a check and balance on legislative and executive branches of government. If this is not there, I will not get a speeding ticket and go to the law court and tell the judge that the policeman was just being what? A mean. He just saw that because I'm driving a big Mercedes Benz, he want to give me a ticket. That is where the judge will look at it and say, look at this guy and look at this man. What do? You look at it, analyze it, and say, okay, you gave this man a speeding ticket because he was driving a Mercedes Benz. You did it out of spy. So the ticket is being what? Is being destroyed, or you are not being held accountable for that ticket. So they are check and balance, okay, on the legislative and the executive branch. At the end of the day, the president cannot sit there and then award contracts through his agent to the family. Okay, that is why we have the laws over there that is checking each and every one, and the law courts are there to do what? To enforce that, to interpret. Sorry, the law courts will interpret. Okay, they will be able to interpret if they have the right to do that or not. Good. So we have the court jurisdiction. The court's authority or power is what we term as the jurisdiction. Jurisdiction, okay? So at the end of the day, your jurisdiction or authority will determine what kind of cases that you have to hear, or cases that have to be brought to you, okay? So at the end of the day, your jurisdiction or power will tell whether you can hear cases that is between maybe between two businesses with an amount of maybe 1 billion. Okay, if you have that jurisdiction, okay, if you have that authority or power to hear that kind of case, okay, the jurisdiction is what I'm talking about as being authority or power. So per the definition, authority or power of a court to hear cases as granted by a constitution or legislative act. Okay, legislative act. A court may be limited in authority over certain types of cases or geographical areas. Okay, so don't forget, at the end of the day, you can bring a case against me and I can just I can get out of the court. Okay, I can be acquitted because at the end of the day, that court does not have the authority to hear that case. So before you take a case to a court, you have to know all these things. You have to know all these things because the lawyer or the defendant can do what? Can argue that you brought me to a court that has no capacity to hear our case. And the person will get out freely. And probably what you can only do is to do what? Reapply to another course of higher jurisdiction. Okay, so for you to go to court, you should be very ready. You should be prepared. You have your documentations all intact. And it's good as business students to know this, because if you are not an entrepreneur, you end up being a leader of an organization. They will bring you to court. If I say they, employees will cause you to go to court. I have gone to court several times based on contract, as I try to defend myself and what? My organization. So you have to make sure that you go through the stringent process, okay? Stringent process for every duty you are assigned to at least to do, so that at the end of the day, even if somebody takes you to court, you will not do what? You will not found culpable. You will not be found culpable. At the end of the day, it's all about doing what is right. It's all about doing what is right. In the past, like I always say, whenever I sign a contract, I make sure, although we have the technology, that every contract is being signed online. Okay, we use internet and then computer to sign our contract. We don't do paper contracts anymore. About 20 years ago, we stopped doing paper contracts. But the point is, at the end of the day, the person signing the contract should still have a copy of it. The person can go to court and tell you that, hey, I did not sign this. I don't have a copy of it. Him not having a copy alone is against the contract law. And you have to make sure that both sides understand before going into that contract. A court has original jurisdiction if authorized to hear and decide a case when first presented. So if they bring the case to my court and I have the capacity to hear that case, I have the original jurisdiction, okay, of that case. I'm not sure if somebody really understands what it is here. So an original jurisdiction, although this original jurisdiction can go up there, the Supreme Court can have that jurisdiction as well, because they can interpret what the lower courts have done, have already decided on. So the original jurisdiction is what we term as the authority to hear the first case and decide on. Any question? Good. So we do have what we term as the appellate jurisdiction. The appellate jurisdiction. So at this level, we normally see that in the appeals court, or the courts of appeal. All right, the power to review decisions of another court. Okay, normally the lower courts. Okay, so you brought a case against me, and I cited one or two reasons to buttress my case, and I won. I get acquitted, and you feel like you are not satisfied. you can take it to the appellate jurisdiction, to the appellate court, to the appeals court, or the next court, the higher court, for review. Okay, so at the end of the day, what this appeals court or court of appeals does is they review the decision in addition to what the case that was submitted. They don't accept any fresh evidence, but what has been done is what they're going to review. So when that is done, then they make a decision, and this is where that kind of decision comes in. And if you feel you are not still okay with it, then you go to Mr. Supreme. Okay, that is where you're gonna be able to get your final. Even in the Supreme Court, it can be multiple times, depending on how you submit your case. I hope somebody gets what we are saying. Special jurisdiction. Courts that are limited in authority to hear only certain kinds of case. Okay, we have the finance jurisdiction. So we have the criminal court, which is in charge of maybe say cyber crimes, okay, or the blue collar crimes and all those kind of finance and those kind of things that has to be dealt with in terms of business. For example, we sometimes tend to have its own court. Okay, we tend to have its own court. So at the end of the day, we will have that particular court to deal with maybe cyber crimes or maybe fraud, stealing through. 1 second. My battery is running down. Let me try to charge that quickly. So if you have a special jurisdiction, it means maybe you have the right to hear certain cases. And that is the example I have given you. For example, financial issues that has to deal with maybe properties, maybe land issues and all those. We have that special jurisdiction for certain kinds of cases, and people will have to follow that. And at least when issues of such come up, you have to go through those kind of special courts to be able to be heard. Family courts, motor traffic courts. Yes, we do have them there. Bankruptcy and tax courts. We have all those. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to take your case to the special court that deserves your attention. Any questions so far? Good. Now, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. Why is it supreme? That is so supreme, the highest, right? It's so supreme, which is the highest. So Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution provides for federal courts. U.S. Supreme Court is the highest court in the federal system. I hope you have a similar Supreme Court being the highest in your country as well. Supreme Court is the court of original jurisdiction, as I said earlier on, for certain kind of cases such as dispute between and among states. Okay, that is Supreme Court. Inferior courts, which is federal courts below the Supreme Court, created by acts of what? Congress. Is somebody following? So that is the Supreme Court for you. So the Supreme Court rules on constitutionality of laws. Okay, somebody might think that I am the only one who knows the law, and the Constitution, I can interpret it better than anyone. So what I say is what is right. Well, normally political parties will do that. We don't understand how this thing you're able to use this, especially those in opposition, and they bring it to the law court. Yes, it has to be interpreted by the law court. Okay, that is their job. Okay, so at the end of the day, my understanding of the law will be different from maybe Monsoon's understanding of the law court, or Sarah's understanding of the Constitution. Pardon me. So if we do not understand ourselves, we submit a petition to what? To the Supreme Court for it to be ruled on. So they rules on what? Constitutionality of laws. They also, as I said earlier on, they hear appeals from the higher state courts, that is original jurisdiction, right? So they also hear appeals from the Federal Circuit Courts of Appeals. Okay, they as well hear certain specific original jurisdiction cases. So don't forget, Supreme Court is in charge. Is the highest, but you cannot just wake up one day and take your case there. You have to go through the process. Okay, they accept only a small percentage of appeals. It has no legal obligation to review all decisions from lower courts. If they are to do that, can somebody tell me, would they have time to even sleep? They will not have time to even sleep or eat, because at the end of the day, every decision that the lower courts will make or will arrive at that you and I are not happy, we will take it to Supreme Court. So they are very selective in the kind of cases that can be brought to the Supreme Court. That can be brought to the Supreme Court. Anybody have a question? Good. Let's see. Now, so federal courts have original jurisdiction in cases involving federal statutes. Okay, in cases involving federal statutes, federal courts have original jurisdiction in what? Diversity of citizenships cases. Okay, in United States, that is, parties are citizens of different states. Okay, and amount involved in greater than what? $75,000. Okay, that is federal courts, and that is their jurisdiction. At the end of the day, that is their jurisdiction. This is what they can do. Okay, federal courts also include specialized courts for specific subject cases. For example, U.S. Tax Court, the Bankruptcy Court, and the U.S. Court of Claims. Okay, and even when you look at even the U.S. Court of Claims, we have that one too in levels. We have the amount of the type of cases they can hear up to a certain amount. I believe that we have small courts, small claims court, and they have up to, I think, $5,000. So if your case is bigger than that, you might not have to go to that court. All right. So this is what we term as jurisdiction, the power or the ability, the authority to at least use the law or interpret the law. And that is what we have here for the federal court. Now, the slide we have here says what? State courts, what do they have to do? Each state establishes its own court structure. Okay, each state in the United States have its own state court structure. Okay, general trial courts, courts of original jurisdiction. Okay, that is the court of original jurisdiction. That's the general trial courts. Okay, what do? They handle state law cases such as breach of contracts, criminal law, and family law. Okay, trial courts include municipal courts handling, okay, traffic violations, juvenile, domestic relations, here and there, having fights in the house, husband beating kids, kids beating husbands, husband beating wife, wife beating husband. Yes, you can bring those cases also to this kind of state courts. We have the magistrate court. that hears certain minor violations of the law or small claims court, as I said. Okay, so these are the state courts and their jurisdiction. Okay, as I mentioned earlier on, these state courts are established by its own state. Okay, each state established its own court structure. I mean, okay, so if I'm in New York, yes, they will have that kind of structure. If you go to Connecticut, if you go to Ohio, if you go to South Carolina, they will have their own setup as well. So it is similar to every other country, just that many parts of the world, you have all those courts operating under one umbrella, which might be the Constitution. I'm not sure if somebody have a question. There is anything we don't understand, something is bothering you. I'm open for you. All right, are we there?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, good. If
Yes,
nobody have a
Professor.
question, then I'm going to have a question for someone. Okay, so can somebody explain to us? Can somebody explain to us why? Oh, who is that? Can you mute yourself for us, please? Good, good. Can somebody explain to us about the common law? What is that? Common law. Anybody in class? Anybody in class? Common law. What is that? What animal is called common law? Oh, nobody's here. Then I'm going to call names. Danya, that is what? All right, that's fine. Legal rulings by judge. They are unwritten laws. Is that true? Is that true? Am I here with the class, or I'm by myself? Common law. Okay. Mostly or usually call a case law as well. This is a law. Okay. Thank you, Noran. Thank you. This is a law that will always, in one way or the other, will come out of what? A decision of a judge. So we normally say judge made law, or what I said earlier on. Precedent have its own way of also affecting common law as well. So common law itself, it has a very clear ties with that three aspect of laws that we mentioned. Okay, so at the end of the day, what comes out of the decision that the judge made becomes what? A law. That somebody can also do what? Use that. Okay. And then the judge decision, whether it's going to be positive to you or negative to you, would depend on its rulings. Okay. So the common law are just judge-made laws. Okay. They are judge-made laws, or they are created through judge rulings. Okay. So that is the common law. So now that I'm not getting response from anybody, I'm tempted not to ask for the original jurisdiction. When we say that, what does that mean? If somebody has if a court have an original jurisdiction, what does that mean? Anybody? A court have an original jurisdiction. What does that mean? Are we here?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is geographic jurisdiction. I mean, related to the geographic area, or the type of the incident itself.
Okay. Thank you, Awad. Yeah, at least you've been able to hit something with that kind of content we are looking for. All right. You have the court that hears the case first, and has the authority or power to decide on the case, has the original jurisdiction. And yes, when we talk about jurisdiction, yes, we do we do take into account the geographical area and the authority of that court. So thank you. So when we say an original jurisdiction, that's what it is. And don't forget, Supreme Court will also have original jurisdiction in some matters, okay, in some specific cases. Who is a defendant? Oh, okay. Thank you, Rodas. I did not see your response. Thank you. I see Rodas here. Who is a defendant? Anybody? Oh, Noran said the accused person. Judlin, the accused. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. An individual institution being sued. Thank you, Olia. Sorry, Rodas. Thank you. So that's a defendant. The person that the suit is being brought against becomes the defendant. At the end of the day, it comes with the word or its name, defend. Okay? Defend. The person who is to defend him or herself, the person being sued. Thank you, Winnie. At the end of the day, that person becomes a defendant. So if I tell you the alleged person, thank you. So, Olia, if I tell you, if I give you a case and I ask you to identify who a defendant is and who a plaintiff is, you should be able to tell me. I hope we are getting this. I believe this is a practical course, and I want to make sure it is as practical as we can and people will understand it. So simple. All right. Is there any question that somebody will throw at me? Any question? If not, if there is no question, then we call it a day. But any question? Is there any of the slides or any of the definition or interpretation that you did not understand that you want me to repeat? Anybody? All right. So if we have no question and we do have the materials and understand what we said, then I'll leave you and then I'll see you next weekend. But please don't forget, I think we do have a homework this week, right? We do have a homework. So just look out for it and make sure that you're on time with it. All right. Again, our homeworks will always be a 2-time trial. Then we'll be able to do it. We'll be able to get through with it. And don't forget that you have 2 times to do that. All right. All right. I wish you all the best and I will see you next weekend. Okay. Bye.